Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform powered by Zoom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform powered by Zoom, where we've been conducting conversations across various topics about how companies can really enhance and improve the customer experience journey, because the entire digital transformation that we are seeing underway is forcing companies to change their business models and adapt to this new market reality. And what's interesting is it's not companies alone who are driving this change. It's in many cases, if not in most cases, the customer which is driving this change. Because customers today expect relevant content in relation to what they're doing, anytime, anywhere, in the format and on the devices of their choosing. So it's their journey which dictates your strategy. And in order to keep up with this new kind of always connected customer, your business must embrace technology to deliver on this unmatched customer experience. So let's learn today from companies, both young and old, those who've had a legacy and pivoted to this new digital age, as well as digital natives who've really been born in this entire new technology-empowered customer age. Let me introduce you to the panelists who are joining us for this conversation today that we are having about redefining the customer experience. Starting with Sameer Raje, who's General Manager and Head India and SAARC Zoom. Priyang Agarwal, Director Marketing at 1MG. Rohit Taneja, Associate Director Consumer Insights, Bombay Shaving Company. Kumud Upadhyay, Senior Vice President Customer Service, Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Dr. Jagmohan Singh Rishi, Global Head, L&D and Digital Customer Experience at the Wockhardt Group. And last but not the least, Alok Arya, Chief Marketing Officer at IIFL Securities. So we've got a packed house with us in terms of really companies sharing their experience across industries today. But Sameer, let me start with you. And as I said, it's an entirely new customer experience journey that companies are having to map out and connect with. You know, what is really that journey all about? What do you think are those key pillars of customer experience that companies need to focus on and build on today?
First and foremost, Paramita, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to interact with you, with the audience and my co-panelists. So to begin with, I think the customer experience journey that we are speaking about is not really new. Remember the days, or even today, you have small retail stores, or you got your family doctor, or it could be, the friendly neighborhood investment banker or someone who you always love to go to. And you love to go to for a particular reason. And that reason is nothing but you get a genuine and a true advice. You get advice on what product that you buy. You always get a brand that you want. Not only that, but if there is a better brand or a better product available, the retailer might, share that with you. Well, and if you have a poor experience using that, maybe the retailer will probably try to replace it or give you a freebie or that is all about customer experience. And that is the reason why, Indian businesses have been successful and Indian consumers have always been on the demanding side. So that's the first thing. Now, what is happening is this is getting replicated, if I may say, on the internet or the technology side. First and foremost, if we have to go dig down a little bit deeper, why is that storekeeper? Why is that retailer? Why is that personal banker so close to us? Why is he able to recommend that specific product, able to give that after-sales service, and so on and so forth? Well, you know what? He remembers each and every conversation that you have. Now, that's kudos to his memory, his or her memory, but that's what our systems need to do. Each and every interaction with the customer on the digital platform needs to be captured, needs to be recorded, and not only recorded, but give an analytics as well as insights to the organization as well as to the salesperson, and not only sales, but even the customer support or post-sales person,
In fact, Sameer, I'm going to come back and ask you about something that Zoom offers, which is conversational intelligence, which you've been talking about, which is really emanating from some of these conversations that are happening. But before I do that, let me quickly bring in Priyang Agarwal, who is Director Marketing at 1MG. And Priyang, yours is a sort of digital native company. I mean, you began as a startup, now, of course, funded by a very large, by the Tata Group. I mean, that's your new parent. But, what's been your CX journey like? Because when you started out as a startup, this mapping, this whole customer experience journey can be a costly affair. I mean, how did you go about identifying those key mapping points that needed to get you to the next point of, acquiring and retaining your customers?
That's an awesome question, and it's a really interesting question to look upon the customer experience journey, especially when we talk about the healthcare space. See, healthcare is a critical space. It's a very sensitive space, and when you are ordering any medicines, when you are ordering the lab tests, the expectations of customer experience with the customers also get increased multiple fold times. So we, as a company, as an organization, look upon each touch points of the customer, and at every touch point, we try to give them a state-of-the-art experience. Let me give you an example to support that. Typically, the journey starts with downloading the app, or it starts from the web. If I talk about the digital journey, if we can give a perfect product, if we can give a perfect journey, which is very intuitive, less cluttered, clean, and very much short, the entire booking experience of that particular customer gets increased. Right. And once the booking journey is completed, then comes the fulfillment journey. So once you have placed the order, how we can give you the entire tracking of the order, that where it is right now and what time it will be delivered, and the time that we have promised to you. Suppose we are promised that it will be delivered within a day. Are we able to meet those particular SOPs of the supply chain or not? This type of promise and expectation should be, I would say, equalized, so that the customer experience get enhanced. And if
Right. So you said, fulfillment and the speed of that fulfillment, the efficacy of that fulfillment, that was clearly, an identifying area. And as you said, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, it's a very different animal, because let me bring in somebody from the Wockhardt Group, which is, again, in the pharma space, but has a huge legacy, and it's really sort of pivoted from the traditional times to the digital times. Dr. Jagmohan Singh Rishi, how do you react? I mean, when you hear from somebody in the pharmaceutical space, these are young startups, they're looking at speed of fulfillment because today's customer is very impatient. You're dealing with a very different customer in that sense at the Wockhardt Group. You're in the B2B space, you're looking at international markets. What were your, sort of key priority areas?
Thank you very much, Paramita. And I'd like to mention over here that, yes, we may be a traditional organization, but we have evolved during this period. And not only that, before pandemic only, we had already started the journey of digital transformation at Wockhardt. In fact, that has helped us during the pandemic times, and of course now also. Most importantly, I would like to mention over here that the customer, in particular B2B space, has also become very, very demanding, and we are ensuring that we give a personalized approach, because when we are offering our research evidence-based medicines, it is important that we provide the safety, the efficacy, the speed of the medicine's effect. So all those things are important. But for every customer, the requirement is different, and that is where we are trying to use digitization also in the process, that we communicate our offerings in a faster and a customer-centric manner. That is one aspect of it. Second part is that, there are a lot of aspects where patients have become very, very demanding. particularly when it comes to diabetes or it comes to nephrology, neurology. So it is important that they come to know about the benefits, although we are not allowed through regulatory to communicate to them, but through doctors only. Through doctors' media, we ensure that there's enough patient education happening, and that talks about customer experience. So on one hand, there are patients, on the other hand, there are doctors. So we
Right.
usually you give the right kind of experience to the customers, be it doctors or the patients, or even the stakeholders, can be the middle ones, that is stockists or retailers also. How we are offering up medicines and how it is disseminated, the information is disseminated down the line. It creates all the difference.
Rohit Taneja, of course, Bombay Shaving Company. I mean, you've got all your digital eyeballs of late for different kinds of reasons. But Rohit, tell me, on your website, what's very interesting, I think one of your founders has written about what has shaped your CX journey, and you've spoken a lot about the 5th P of marketing, which you say is purpose. Purpose is a very key pillar. How do you define that in this new phygital world for a company such as yours, which is again has to be there to a large extent in the physical realm, given the nature of the products that you're selling?
I think today's era where the consumer is evolving day by day, purpose holds extreme importance to the consumer, and that can actually become a great differentiator. So we at Bombay Shaving Company have the purpose of reimagining hair removal by bringing confidence to our consumer. And how we have incorporated is we have also added another element of purpose of the customer by trying to identify what is the purpose of the customer when the customer tries to buy our product. So what does the customer says? I need this product. Why? So let's say a consumer buys a particular skincare product because the customer wants to be the best version of himself. Now, purpose for Bombay Shaving Company is to reimagine that hair removal experience of his by helping him become more confident version of himself. So I think that purpose has helped us percolate that identity into different aspects of business involving customer experience.
So you first identified your purpose before you actually mapped out sort of the key pillars of your customer experience journey, and you said one sort of feeds off the other. Let me bring in the financial services players here, and we've got two of them. We've got Motilal Oswal as well as IIFL. Kumud, let me start with you. And Motilal Oswal, again, a company with a long history, and could be seen as a digital dinosaur in today's very fast-paced age of these new brokerages which are coming up. I mean, how did you respond to the challenge? And, more than customer experience, what about customer retention in today's fickle world?
So, hi, Paramita. Thanks for having us over here. First of all, yes, the question is very relevant. How do you keep your customers? It's very simple. Keep it simple, right? So the strategy that we use for any kind of digital transformation or the product development is keep it very simple. Second is make the journey enjoyable for the customer so that he enjoys the journey, while in placing trades or doing his research and all those stuff. And third is meeting his needs, right? So these 3 points are very important for any of the organization when they are, drawing out their journeys, right? For us, it's very important that new customers who are opening account with discount brokers, but at the same time, researches are not available. So we have a product called Research 360, wherein you can, people like you and me can really go ahead and without doing any research, just go to the app and know which are the buys which are available for me. So it's very simple then, right? If you have something which is readily available to you. Secondly, if somebody asks you as a new entrant in the market how to do an option strategy or something like that, it will be difficult for me, right? So what we have done is we have option store available wherein you can always, there is a ready-made option strategies which are available with a limited downside, with minimum losses. So it's again, you don't have to do anything, just a single click of a button, you can use the options at your side. So what we have to see is where your customers are today, go there. It's rather than customers are not going to come to you. So better that you make the journey simple for him and, execute his needs. So I think if we take care of these three things, all the product journeys or product mapping will be much easier for our customers.
Alok Arya, but when it comes to money matters, it's a very different animal, because you've got regulators, you've also got customers who want to physically meet with the person who's managing his or her money, and you've got, for instance, further added complexities. For instance, at IIFL, you've partnered with many international players to offer a suite of customers. So how do you follow those basic pillars of keeping it simple, keeping the journey enjoyable in a very complex and a very regulatory heavily demanding world?
Sure. I think thanks, Kumud, for putting it right out there. Keeping it simple, of course, is the key. And let me just add to that, right? So we, being a digital first, not by the virtue of the business that we are in, but of course the adoption that we've had over the last decade, we believe that in this digital world, there's nothing called as digital marketing, but essentially marketing in a digital world. So that even simplifies the actions that we take to reach out to our consumer. So that being the central core of whatever we do and everything that we do across consumer needs, I think the phygital era that we are living in, it's imperative that the customer, sort of pinpoints in addressal of his or her queries, or maybe his want to understand the market, or some, information on the market is addressed. Hence, I think as an organization, IIFL Securities, we have ensured that we do not let go our core of research and advisory, our core of hand-holding the consumer throughout this investment journey, right? So unlike a typical FMCG product, we have friends from Bombay Shaving, we are not an impulse buy. We are essentially a category that requires a lot of research, requires a lot of study by the consumers. And then once the investment decision is to be taken, he or her, he or she requires a lot of inputs. So our trademarked, artificial intelligence and machine learning tools help it make it more scientific. That's number one. Number two, our customer support and our research and advisory make sure that, while we are living in this digital era, we do not lose on the warmth of being a customer-centric and a customer-first company. Also, we pride ourselves, in being always available. So I think with, of course, the medium being digital, while the customer can reach out to you through emails or WhatsApps, I think it's also imperative that how essentially there is a human touch to whatever we do in our business.
Okay, so we've heard from both the financial services players, a lot of focus on keeping it simple, but at the same time keeping that personalized touch and feel as well. And a lot of it is about conversations. And Sameer, I'm going to come back to that whole point of conversation intelligence, because ultimately a lot of it is about listening and understanding and picking up those points of what the customer is telling you, regardless of the category that you're in. Bring up this point about conversation intelligence. I mean, how do you apply analytics to all the sort of, noise or all the conversations that brands are having with customers across various platforms?
Well, I think the journey has evolved over a period of time. If you look at some collaboration tools per se some time back, where standalone collaboration tools where you could chat with somebody or just make a simple phone call to someone, or even have a video meeting or have a high definition video conferencing interaction with some of them. Well, today the collaboration has changed, and collaboration is adopted or is becoming more as a platform as a service, or UC, unified communication as a service, and that's what we are doing. And so we learned a lot during our COVID time. And we also learned from a lot of industry veterans, pharma and financial sector, to understand what is really required. So, as you rightly mentioned, it is point of keeping it simple, but also giving that immersive experience. What does the consumer want today? Consumer wants a one-touch, use anywhere platform to either buy or to get service or demand something. So it's a it's a common platform across. That is point number one. When it comes to intelligence part, the organizations need to understand or need to provide right from the footfall, the initial footfall to buying experience to support on a basis of information which they are armed with. And that can be captured when the agents are interacting or the subject matter experts are interacting with everybody, and this gets integrated back into the platform. And let me share an example. For example, we know that during the pandemic, telehealth took out big time. Everybody is now talking about telehealth and telehealth platforms, telehealth consultation. We went one step ahead with providing healthcare to rural areas and providing expertise also there. Now, just imagine if this is integrated with either hospital management system or database management systems, then there is a patient care information available. Same is the case with financial sector, where we have an organization which is doing loan collection as well as providing information for retail as well as investment banking to the customers at their rural locations, maybe petroleum, or when they're going to fill up gas, or maybe they walk into their agents. So, it's an integrated platform. When a simple chat can get elevated to a phone call to a video meeting, and that information is captured in a common platform such as CRM system, hospital management system, or even your some form of banking applications, then it's a completely elevated experience, one experience to the customer and the organizations as well, to become or cover their journey from being a simple dinosaur to a digital native organization.
Indeed, integrating all that data, it's easier said than done. I think a lot of brands are attempting it. And Priyang, let me come back to you, because the impression is the bigger the brand, the bigger the budget, the more money you have to throw at technology and buying some of these new tools, perhaps you'll get better returns. Or is there a fallacy in that statement? Do bigger budgets mean better returns, especially in terms of customer retention?
I would say not necessarily always. See, let's understand what is customer retention in little bit in the micro part. So once you acquire a customer, you spend the money over that, what we call it as CAC in the digital world. And once this CAC is being spent, you want this particular customer should come again and again organically. And typically, ideally, it doesn't happen. But I think investing money in the right direction, when I say right direction, investing money in the right channels of the customer experience, investing money in the right post-purchase customer support. Those are the things which are very much important for building a retention strategy. In terms of the marketing also, I can vouch that if you can give a content, or if you can give a good communication, right communication at the right time, that is the basis of the personalization. Those small things in the marketing, communication, and the content can play a very important role in the retention strategy for any of the brand. And that's what I think at Tata 1mg we believe into. Let me give you an example. Suppose I am a chronic user, I am a chronic patient for diabetes, and I'm ordering month on month. So we, through the use of data and technology, we understand that this particular customer medicine stock will get over by X number of days. Why don't we give a communication after X number of days? Hey, your kitty of medicines might be over. Please book right now, get a discount of X%, and you can enjoy your medicines at your home. So I think understanding the customer needs and requirements and then matching it to your services is very important from the customer retention strategy. That's what we believe into.
That's an important and interesting insight. And let me ask Dr. Rishi to respond to that, because 2 points actually I want you to respond to. One, the point that Sameer made, talking about integrating all of this data, and Dr. Rishi, with a company like Wockhardt, you have so many touch points. It is a challenge, isn't it? I mean, the bigger the company, we were just talking about bigger the company and perhaps bigger the budgets, the more money you throw at the customer experience. But the bigger the company, the larger the company, the more complex is your data, the more challenging is it to integrate it and really give that customer that personalized experience. Would you admit that's a challenge?
It becomes really challenging, particularly with respect to giving personalized experience. Let me answer it in 2 ways. One is from the doctor's perspective, other is from the patient perspective. I have been into multiple CX forums, and I've always mentioned here that when it comes to the patient, the first touch point has to be human. You have to have empathy in that. You can't have the digital tool contacting the patient. So the follow-ups, as 1 milligram, my colleague mentioned, the follow-up refilling of the things can be done by the tool where nudging can happen. But when it comes to a patient who wants guidance on, who wants more clarity on diabetes or maybe other issues, we need to have the personalized touch point in that, and that is what exactly. On with respect to doctor, definitely I have more empathy with them because the patients, they do Google search and then go to the doctor, and they do a lot of doctor hopping also. So there we need to help the doctor to understand what are the various algorithms, how to treat a particular disease. So there we help the doctor upgrade and upskill himself or herself accordingly in that, so that and every doctor's requirement is totally different.
Kumud, of course, healthcare is a very different animal, but in terms of really integrating all this data and presenting it to the customer and really following his or her journey, how have you gone about addressing this personalization aspect and looking at the different sort of segments of the market? I mean, you've got the entrant trader, you've got the high net worth individual. I mean, I think personalization is a very different story for each one of these customers at different points in their sort of wealth journey, so to speak.
So, Paramita, for BFSI, personalization is a task, I would say, obviously, because it's definitely it differs from business to business, number one. Number two, it definitely differs for your B2B and B2C verticals as well. Okay. For example, when we have D2C vertical, we have to identify, what is the profile of the customer and whether the customer is an investor or he's a trader. Because the entire journey for an investor and for a customer who's trader is different, right? So we need to understand from the behavior and from the profiling of the customer what he has been buying, and along with that the segmentation of the customer as well, because people like me are very much of an investor and would like to trade in cash. Some people would prefer, traders would prefer, doing option or you can say a derivatives market as well. So number one, currently the challenge that we face is with the advisors, because we are a full-fledged broker. What happens is, getting this data aligned with people who are actually, helping them is a task. So what we are doing is basically we are having support tools which can help the advisor to understand the customer data, the 360 degree of it, and accordingly pitch in the correct kind of product, number one. So I would say it's not only customer experience, but today is a world of total experience, wherein your UI, UX with the products. Second is your customer experience, that is the interaction which we are having with the customer at each stage, that matters. And number three is your employee experience, because the right kind of support or tools are also required by your internal people, be it be a customer support or an advisor today, right? So that right kind of product can be chipped in. So it's like, holistically, when we are sitting, it's a holistic experience that you need to really take care of, in today's dynamic markets. So what we are doing is basically we are profiling the customers, and we have also invested in a lot of for support tools that are helping the advisors to create a more kind of awareness with their customers and handling those relationships really well.
Alok Arya, have you also gone about it in a similar way, where you're also empowering and reskilling your employees? Because after all, the brokers of yore would, sit down or just pick up the phone and, have those quick calls. But, now it's all about chatbots and having the apps. And at the other end of the spectrum, they're still your old age investors who still prefer to have those physical phone calls.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And just to sort of, build on it, I think we at IIFL Securities, our efforts are constantly towards how do we give the customer a choice which he or she can use to make a very informed decision. Keeping stockbroking customers delighted means several things. It's about speedy execution, it's about seamless onboarding, it's about scalability, how do you replicate the markets. So basically customers need a very comprehensive and smooth experience that essentially helps them zero in on the right stocks and options. So our philosophy is that technology driven delivery is not just a choice but the only workable option, at least in the industry that we are in, the broking space. Since we pride ourselves on being a customer-centric organization, we essentially focus on leveraging technology to deliver customer expectations much more speedily and objectively. In this process, the customers get a lot of empowering tools, and there is a greater ownership in the investment decision making.
Rohit, I can't help but ask you, I mean, for instance, recently one of your founders was in hot water because of something he said in terms of, the hiring trends and number of working hours that youngsters have to put in at the early part of the journey. Whether we agree with it or not, that's a different matter. But you would have seen a lot of noise being created as a result. I mean, as a company, my question to you is when there's so many noise points, there's so much of feedback. I mean, what do you pick and choose on to react and build on that journey of your relationship with the customer?
So I think it's of course a very, I should say, tricky surface where you kind of learn as you go. But I think it's important to differentiate between a feedback organization versus reaction of people on what someone has said. So I think during this tenure, our customer care team, our brand team had to walk that tightrope to understand this is something that's related to the business, this is something that's related to the brand, while this is something that's related to someone's opinion or someone's knee-jerk reaction of the LinkedIn post that had been posted.
Can go on endlessly on the customer journey, but very quickly, Dr. Jagmohan Singh Rishi, let me start with you in terms of what you think is going to be the next wave, which is going to carry the customer experience forward, and what are you going to focus on as a brand?
I think the next wave, again, the personalization will continue. At the same time, we need to focus primarily on on ensuring that empathy is a part of the customer experience. As of now, what is happening is we are still in a seller's market, and many times the sellers don't care about customers many times. But I would suggest that if we can add empathy in that is going to be the future in.
Okay, so bring in empathy. Great. Priyang, what do you think you'll be focusing on as a brand?
I think customer experience is a 360-degree holistic approach. We have to see customer experience from all the angles, not only from one angle, but from all the angles. What I see how the customer experience journey will evolve down the line is that brands will focus on multiple aspects of customer experience. As my fellow member said, that it will be empathy, it will be personalization. These will definitely continue, and more things will evolve from other angles which right now are untapped. And brands will definitely go into the deep things which are still untouched.
So then the final word has to come from Sameer. Sameer, give us a glimpse into the future in that case. What does it look like in terms of the technology offerings for brands such as these?
Well, I think everybody mentioned it in the right way, which is it's a journey. But the point which I would like to say that the journey cannot be disjointed. It has to be an integrated journey right from the beginning of point of first interaction to a continuous evolving journey where you take the customer from one experience to another. Else, if this is disjointed, then it's going to be very much like the old age companies where a file had to be moved from one table to another, and you might excel in one area when the file moves from table 1 to table 2. But when it breaks down in its movement from moving from table 2 to table 3, that's where the problem occurs. So it has to be a holistic journey, continuous journey, and it has to be synced with each other. And the customer should never have to follow the file actually, whether it is at table 2, table 3, or table 4, because that's what used to happen. That's where it used to break down. And that's where the continuous solution platform, which is the new age technology, which is now the buzzword, That's what is important for organizations to adopt, and not a piecemeal communication platform which just suffices one or two pockets.
Okay, great. Well said. I mean, don't keep it piecemeal, keep the journey smooth, and of course, bring in all those elements of empathy and personalization, and take care of your disgruntled customers as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we've completely run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us on this journey. I have learned a lot. I'm also a customer to many of your brands and hope to enjoy continuing the experience. And thank you to our viewers for those fantastic questions and for participating with such zest in yet another stimulating session that has come to a close of Forbes India Presents Redefining Customer Experience, the Edge of Collaboration platform powered by Zoom. Thank you so much for watching.
Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the Edge of Collaboration platform powered by Zoom. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.